Tuki Nixukuax. Thank you. Nisto Nidani go Abamaki. Gisto Sakidani go Gaksimi. Hello, I'm Woman from Across the Water, and this is my daughter, Sage. So, my first one, I haven't really solidified a title, but I'm calling it Animal Agent. Wild animal running at you, baring its teeth, ready to eat, but you keep telling yourself, it's more scared of you than you of it. It's more scared of you than you of it. Catch it, save it, rehabilitate it. Savage Indian running from you, bearing her truth, her home, the street, but you keep telling yourself, I'm more scared of you than you of I. I'm more scared of you than you of I. Take her, break her, reassimilate her. That was my first poem. This next one is, they call me Indigenous. I am not more likely than you to experience violence, emotional, physical, sexual, spiritual. I will experience violence. I'm lucky that my husband is white. I hope my daughters can pass with the last name MacDonald. I hope they will last in this patriarchal white society that we're forced to slave away for, grieving for a life that I wasn't even here for, until our bones begin to fertilize the soil, the land, the people, the system. Nurturing is in my core, but you only see it when I'm dead. I hope by then my daughters will be equal. One brown, one white. They don't see it like how we do. Until then, I'm waiting for the marriage certificate that will be my salvation when my last name's no longer Iron Shirt, but MacDonald instead. Maybe then I'll be allowed to breathe. I hope by then I'm not missing, murdered, Indigenous again.
Okay, the first poem I'll read is called When Your First Child is Born. When your first child is born, you feel fear, responsibility, and awe unite. You know you'll love this child forever. You feel what most parents feel at first sight. When your child has a child, amazed at creation's tiny tyke, you will love your child's child at once, just as your parents embraced your child's life. Way too soon, this child too has grown. Now she has a toddler of her own. Each generation has lived and known how swiftly our earthly time has flown. Whether longevity's gift, a curse, to see and feel the generations turning like a wheel. Thank you. Woo! Thank you so much. That was in honor of my great-grandchild, who's now 2. Okay, I've read some pontoons here before. It's a new form that I'm finding is quite interesting. The second and fourth lines of each stanza become the first and third lines of the next stanza. And eventually it goes right around so that the first line of the first stanza becomes the last line of the poem. Okay, but I wasn't satisfied with that. So I wrote the pantoon and then I thought, well, that wasn't very deep. Come on, you can do a little better than that. So I wrote it again. So I'm going to read both to you and see if I got a little more depth. And this is really, I was thinking about this already, and then I heard yesterday that Germany has decided they're going to take their coal-powered electricity out of mothballs and run it again because they're running out of the needed heat for this winter, with Russia putting a kibosh on sending them oil for their heating. So I was quite distressed, and here's what I wrote. The real cost of coal. The coal miner descends into his dark cave, where he, his father, and his father's father eked out a living for decades enslaved. Their lives, traded for coal, profited others, while he, his father, and his father's father eked out a living for others they slaved, trading their lives to profit the owners. As anthracite on their lungs, scars engraved, eking a scant living from coal enslaved, while anthracosis ravaged their lungs. From anthracite on their lungs, scarred engraved, they're powerless to protect their own sons. After ebony dust has ravished his lungs, sensing his toil brings an early grave, yet too ill to protect his very own sons, the coal miner descends down into his cave. Part 2. The coal miner descends into his black cave, where he, his father, and his father's father eked out a living for decades enslaved, their lives traded for coal, profiting others, while he, his father, and his father's father eked out a living for others they slaved, trading their lives to profit the owners, as anthracite on their lungs, scars engraved, eking barely a living by coal enslaved, as millions burn coal that savaged Earth's lungs, and anthracosis their scarred lungs enraged. How will we protect the earth and our young? As billions burn coal that savaged Earth's lungs, sensing our toil portends an early grave, yet too ill to protect the earth's and our young, the coal miner descends back into his cave. Thank you.
So I'm going to read two, one from here and then one from my phone, and then I got like a pride sort of little thing that I could read as well. So, listening to the same subtle pop music day after day, selling the same responsible shoes, rather give away as used trash, disposable fashion led to believe composed with compassion less. We find the truth of manufacturings means middle ground to capitalist trends and SJW friends of environment. Marketing tends to lean towards half-truths, more believable lens, less rose, to exposed bright ideas outshining as fast fashion grows. Not the world, but the economy, the wallets we don't see, the payoff. Let me just find them on here. Okay. This one's kind of another in a similar vein. Inbred royalists feeling sore from this, kindred oilists keeling core when you oilless. Don't worry, before this sun will soon be likely. Don't worry, before this, the sun will most likely be. Okay, I messed the end of that one up, but like, we're gonna continue. Yeah, that was a short one, yeah.
Thank you. That kind of reminded me of a little meme that I saw circulating on the internet today, where there's, death. the robed figure with the scythe and so on. And he approaches this other person, says, "Hello, I'm deaf." And the other fellow, old guy with a walker, says, "Well, I'll just speak a little louder then." Fitting, because I had understood I was coming up next, and I didn't even hear the introduction because I've got bad hearing. Okay? I've read every cut and paste cliche and every well-meant aphorism, but no buzzword or platitude will save us from cataclysm. I've heard all the rhetoric and pleas for sanity, but none of it will aid our escape from inanity. Only careful, considerate thought will add some time to the time sold long before it was bought and paid for. And there's been a change in magnetic field's effect on the winds of sun's gravity, and the world is sinking from its place in the sun to unheard depths of depravity. Lady Justice has put her weighted fingers on the scales of neutrality. Now justice remains little more than a meaningless bit of frivolity. When the righteous are incarcerated and the crooks and killers go free, nothing is ever what it seems, especially in a world of perpetual memes. Now, I met this guy at DeVry who spent his high school years getting high. He had no ambition above that of a common rat. You couldn't talk to him about the breaking news because he seemed to know everything there was to know about that. But he reduced every statement to one he'd heard, every statement he had heard to one of absurdity, because that's what he had learned after spending 4 boring years in the high-priced American university, which has come to represent the peak of banality, because now, instead of handing out degrees, they just process calamities. Believe me, I'm not joshing when I say that education has fallen prey to corporate brainwashing and thick as a brick bag of tricks, quick-fix politics that intermixes infometrics with religion and gangster rap lyrics to create a corrupt new social system. That's that one. Okay, I'll go to this one now. You know, there were a bunch of young fellas here last time that did kind of rapid kind of stuff, and I met them outside, and they were enthused about what I was doing and said, "We've got to work together." So I came prepared for that, hoping they'd be here tonight. It was a little geriatric rap, if you will. I just came from Radiology and Associates out there on Scenic Drive for a shot in my spine before I came. And it was a good thing I did. And those young fellas are here because I would be like natural rap. But it's working. That's kicking in. So I was the 7th son of a buccaneer in another lifetime, but that's near impossible today, and incognizable when you're held at bay on a handicapped scooter by other freebooters, looters, and whacked-out mall shooters. So when I was kicked to the curbside bookshelf, I had to learn quickly to defend myself. And now I hit back with a fist of linguistic tongue twists and dystopian dreams put to outrageous rhyme schemes. And what really gets them in a funk, because I was a punk before I became daft to be one. And I'm the one they call the 7th son. I can talk these words that sound so sweet, but writing them down is no minor feat. I can heal the sick, praise the dead, and make all the little kids fall out of their beds. I'm the one they call the 7th son. That's
This first one is really goofy. I think I'm just going to do 2, but I'm going to do the goofy one first. This one's fun. I wrote it a while ago. You guys know who Sophia is, right? The artificial intelligent robot. They sure don't make robots like we had when I was a kid. It's gotten so advanced. So, okay, this was inspired by her, but also inspired by the dating app called Tinder. You guys heard of Tinder? Okay, so now I'm picturing, how would you sell a very modern and attractive AI for that market? Does that make sense? Okay. So you know when you're on Facebook and you see all the ads pop up? I'm thinking of an AI similar to Sophia, catered to the male market, okay? So this is called AI Barbie, the virtual virgin. Hello, I'm Tinderella. Would you like to be my fella? My responses are programmable. I'm overeager and I'm amicable. I'm smart, but yet still scammable. My latex skin is soft and a bit flammable. I get great charge out of battery and will swoon over vacant flattery. Will you add me to your menagerie if I wear your favorite lingerie? If my breasts aren't satisfactory, you can send me back to the manufactory. And for a fraction of your salary, you can select new boobs from the gallery. Where your options are only limited by sexual urges kept inhibited. Or a narrow mind, unsolicited, artificial love should not be prohibited. If you order within the next 2 hours, we'll include for free these extra powers, an antiseptic spray that smells like flowers, and a kill switch to use during thunder showers. Okay, so do I get really dark and serious now? Or, okay, no, I won't go too dark or serious. Okay, this one's called Welcome to My Circus. Am I going to write another dumb poem that only a handful of people will read? Each word is a seed. I'll generously sow them on 5 acres of weeds and 5 acres of feed. Half poet, half clown, I'll stand to be hated. I'll bring laughter and fears to the surface for those who enjoy. Or watch all frustrated, I'll offer some swag mementos to purchase. My produce stands keep your bellies quite full of red candied apples and kettle-popped corn. You gawk at the freaks when the curtains are pulled, to throw them your pity or toss them your scorn. But at least they have found a job in this world to satisfy your cravings for sensational thrills, while your fortune is read by a teller who curls your coins in his palm and then sends omens and ills to follow you as you enjoy roller coasters or win animals stuffed with styrofoam dust, wear glittery face paint by glamorous posters of showgirls in costumes with snakes on their bust. Line up for tickets, enter the tent, where acrobats work to defy the gravity of distractions that surely the devil has sent to cause heroes to crash under so much depravity. The Tiger King jumps through political hoops. The elephant in the room disappears as if by magic. A boy with a limp sweeps up all of the poops, so nobody's shoes will smell anything tragic is going on always. Under every brown noser, while the funhouse in the house made of mirror distorts, whether distant or really much closer, before the final act harkens, the end is much nearer. So look to the cannon, where a man sits like a ball, to be shot like a musket towards moon made of cheese. Fireworks so great that even the elect might enthrall if these days aren't shortened and hearts don't freeze in their places to stop. Just stop, hands of time. Please be still and know God holds a double-edged knife. Have you thought of him lately? Would that be a crime? Could you give up this circus for the author of life?
So I haven't written any poems for a while, and so I thought I'd challenge myself during the month of June to write a new poem every day in honor of Pride Month. And so I'm going to read 4 of them to you. They're all pretty short, so it shouldn't take too long to go through. The first one is called Altar. At the altar for some bread, something else I got instead. a weaponed cross against my head that broke my heart and made me bled. Hoping for a holy drink, but in the time that I could blink, my head is filled with awful stink. Into my hardened seat did sink. Long ago, you were a friend, but maybe that has reached its end. So frivolously you did offend, that maybe now it's just pretend. Now I sit here seething still, my heart and soul are feeling ill. Anger did my breathing fill. Platitudes are leaving chill. My second poem is called Disappear. Pinkish hue, but it's not enough. Dipped in blue, yet it still be rough. Rose sequins, but I disappear. Azure skin, yet they miss the queer. Violet clothes, but I'm like a ghost. Dye yellow, yet can't strike a pose. Molded mauve, but they still say fraud. Golden wove, yet it still seems flawed. The third poem is called Show Straight. Don't pierce your ear, it'll make you queer. Don't wave that way, it'll make you gay. Don't grow that tag, they'll call you fag. Don't play the flute, they'll call you fruit. Walk straight, talk straight, blow your candle straight, throw straight, show straight, grab your handle straight, stand straight, hands straight, make your bedding straight. Like straight, love straight, dream your wedding straight.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be here again. I actually was able to write some poetry this month, so that was yay. I was getting a little worried there for a bit. So the first one I'm going to read you is actually an excerpt from two different poems I wrote, but it kind of fit to put them together, so that is what I'm going to read you first. And so the other two poems were called The Other World and Reacquaintance, and this is a mixture of both of them. The thought of your hands, your fingertips, sliding across my skin again sends shivers up and down my spine and my arms. Gentle shivers that tingle with the anticipation of your lips on my skin again, finally. Hands that know my body so well as they explore each inch and curve of me, memorizing me as if it were the first time and the last time all at once. I slide into your arms like I never left. The familiar weight of your body presses into me. I breathe you in and fill my senses with you, familiar. And yet there is something new about you as well. Time I don't have memories from has added scents and textures to your body. I turn my head into your neck and my lips softly taste your skin. I feel the roughness of your jawline, freshly shaven and yet still enough texture to ignite sparks on my skin. I find my way to your lips, hungry to taste them again, to feel them move hungrily against my own. Slowly though, as if we have all the time and we don't need to devour each other just yet. Reacquainting ourselves with the familiar rhythm and cadence of our bodies moving together once again. And this next one is called Intentions. Yesterday was summer solstice, and it's a great time to set intentions for the next part of the year, so that's where this one came from. I am ready, she says, but then doesn't know where to start. Feeling chained by the unknowns, yet how do they have such a hold on her when they are unknown? I am willing, she says, yet willing to do what? To experience the lessons life has to offer. Trembling at the thought of experiencing pain again, but darling, life has good lessons. I am free, she says. What has been holding you back? You have always been free, just afraid to step out on the waters on your own because you haven't learned to walk alone. There is space for all of me, she whispers. No more playing small to fit in. Your light shines so bright. It's time to be brave and stop holding it in. You are ready, and it's time to begin.
It was our 4-year anniversary on the summer solstice. Carrie? It was our 4-year anniversary on the summer solstice. And then we got married on the winter solstice. So that's a poem already, right? Okay. So, of course, I'll read a poem that's, ended up being dedicated to Brent when it really wasn't about Brent in the first place. So, here we go. Then, love was dependency. If I didn't have someone, then it meant I was less than, unwanted, unloved, uneverything. Then, love was the desire for acceptance and belonging, the bending of my soul and self-worth into chaos. If I could just find out how one attracts a match, a mate, a soulmate, then I'd find my missing pieces. Then I could live with certainty that I would be okay because I was loved and I belonged. I am my mother's daughter. Then, love was finding all the unlovable parts of myself. If I could just fix myself, if I could just fit the mold, if I could just figure it out, then I would be what I need myself to be able to meet everyone else's needs, be loved, be stable, be accepted, be enough, belong. But that's not what I needed. I needed to heal. I needed to unlearn. I needed to reflect. I needed to grow. Now, love is me. If I pour love into myself, then I bloom like a field of sunflowers. Now, love is respect, boundaries, fun, and friendship. If I take care of myself by showering myself with the kindness and love that I freely give away, then I will still have more than enough to sprinkle wherever I go. Now, love is healthy, vulnerable, courageous, and kind. If I'm vulnerable with you, then maybe you'll be too. Now, love is you and I. If we flow along this river together, through all the rifts and bends and swells, allowing me to be me, allowing you to be you, then that sounds like love to me. Okay, this is from Poetry Group, and it was like it was like a prompt. We read a bunch of poems together. They were about beauty. One was by Mary Oliver, and I can't remember the name of the poem right now because I didn't write it down. So it'll come to me later. So, but know that this is a response to one of her poems, and I will start it with a line that I wrote from it. So she wrote, "To understand many things, you must reach out of your condition." Isn't that the truth? How could you understand the sunrise and sunset if you've never experienced one before? As Mary Oliver states, beauty can be both shout and whisper, and still it explains nothing. There are just experiences one needs to have, the whole sensory experience. How can words capture the sense, the sensations that fire your proprioceptors? The way the colors in the sky are transformed before your eyes as if you're witnessing a miracle. The way your emotions that take over your body and mind as you take in this magical wonder of a sky during a sunrise and sunset. How can words capture such a marvel? The unbreakable bond created with nature and all the elements that come with it. Its gorgeous sky, its breathtaking sky. And to know that there will never be a sunrise or sunset like this ever again, because Mother Nature does not repeat herself identically each time, as that would be unnatural. We are meant to change with time and pivot and grow. You must experience the experience yourself to even begin to understand the joy of the ever-changing sky. Thank you. Olali Oak.
With 1,000 tiny overlapping pieces, I gave my head a shake, and I sifted through the clutter. I unraveled the snowflake. Then I stitched it all back together again, one single fragment at a time. I will find a better way to live my life. I'll find a new way to make things better. I'll embrace change, rearrange, and fuse this strategy together. I'll find a new way to make things better. Evolve my ways, provoke change. Come on, people, let's get together. Delve into and through the blades of grass with precision of my mind. My legs are long, endurance strong. With dedication, I will find a method to this madness I call the daily routine. I hold the reins, I control change. Hell with whatever will be, will be. I'll find a new way to make things better. I'll embrace change, rearrange, and fuse this strategy together. I'll find a new way to make things better. Evolve my ways, provoke change. Come on, people, let's get together. 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 Thank you. This next one's called the Earth Song. It's about being good to our Earth, our planet, and also unity. Collectively, we need to do this together because we all live here and we need to make it a better place. So it's about loving nature and Mother Earth and our planet and being good to it. And I wrote this also over a decade ago. Maybe even longer. Okay. It's been around for a while. It goes like this. Like the sea needs the full moon to bring the tide high, and all the trees need the cool waters to keep them alive. Like the birds and the bees and all the planets that may be. Oh, let me start that again. I'm sorry. I'm just hearing lots of noise. I kind of sidetracked my mind. Wash. Like the sea needs a full moon to bring the tide high, and all the trees need the cool waters to keep them alive. Like the birds and the bees and all the planets that may be, they all revolve around one another. It's one big ball of energy, and the earth can't live in synchrony if one of her lifelines is taken under. We have freedom, but we have obligations to live as one. We have freedom, but we have obligations to live as one. Like the sea needs a full moon to bring the tide high, and all the trees need the cool waters to keep them alive. Like the birds and the bees and all the powers that may be, they all revolve around one another. It's one big ball of energy, and the earth can't live in synchrony if one of her lifelines is taken under. We have freedom, but we have obligations to live as one. We have freedom, but we have obligations to live as one. Like a rainbow needs the fury of a storm and the sun to splash on through for her true colors to take form. Light refracted to split through wet air is one of those marvelous little wonders that nature has to share. So be kind, beware. Pollution and corruption are threatening our earth mother, and the burden is all ours to bear. I said the burden is all ours to bear. We have freedom, but we have obligations to live as one. We have freedom, but we have obligations to live as one. Oh, we have freedom, but we have obligations to live as one. So, thank you.
I am back. I missed last month because I'm busy trying to buy a house in Newfoundland, so. And I've been feeling like ass. And how am I supposed to follow that up exactly? But here we be. I have 2 poems ready. I wonder if you see the same in my eyes as Brutus did in Caesar. A collection of colleagues led by unwavering blade, the spine of fragile prophet. The nerves spike, the hair stiffens. I know the blade's edge before it is plunged. Tender meat turned butter beneath brass blade. A thank you, in a way, is uttered from pale lips. This cut is a blessing, the clamp against chain. As the shackles hit the floor, no longer. Teeth against my wrists. As the knife is recoiled away and the heart fuel leaks, I realize this is what freedom tastes like, bloody and bittersweet. Thank you. And I wrote this one solely with the intention to make my mother cry. I love her to bits, but she needs to cry every once in a while. When the bird is off to leave the nest, it's got its little bird boxes packed and all of its old feathers vacuumed up. When it packs its bird cars with all its bird belongings. When the bird is off to leave the nest, does it look around its grandmother bird's home and wonder what it looks like in its absence? When the bird is off to leave the nest for some distant bird province with different bird traditions and its own bird family, does it fear for the flight? When the bird is off to leave the nest, does it stretch out its little wings and ready itself for the fall? But before it can urge itself to jump, does it look back at its mother and rush to give her a hug? When the bird is off to leave the nest, does it ever stop missing home? Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I've been away a while. Felt like I lost my voice in general. So this poem I wrote just a few days ago. It's in honor of Pride Month, especially for a friend who's going through a hard time right now. Remember that you are loved, you are worthy, and you are powerful. The gender you choose to identify with is nobody's business. Who you choose to love is nobody's business. Your sexual identity is nobody's business. This is why boundaries are so important. Nobody owns you, not even your parents. You are your own, which means no one can disown you. Do not give anyone the power to define you. Only you are to define yourself. The journey within will help you accept yourself exactly the way you are, beyond what the world has projected onto you. If anyone is against who you truly are, they're projecting their shame onto you. You are born free until someone takes your freedom away by telling you that you will only be accepted if you are a certain way. When shame is projected onto you, it is like a disease that will destroy you. But remember your power. Your spirit is invincible. No one can take your dignity away. You were born because you are worthy of this life. Unconditional love is your birthright. So be open and be proud of who you are. Accept and love yourself exactly the way you are. Choose to love yourself over the fear that tries to engulf you. You can do it. You will do it. You are already doing it. I'm proud of how far you've walked despite the barriers in your path. I am in awe of your resilience. I am mesmerized by the strength of your heart. You are perfect just the way you are. Love that comes with conditions is not love, it's violence. Today I want to give you the power of my voice. Do not hide your true colors. Be love, live love, speak love. You are love and you are divine. When people judge you, tell them that you do not appreciate them projecting their shame and phobias onto you. I asked God about you one day and the horrible injustice you face. God told me to observe gender and sexual diversity in nature because humans are also part of nature. Nature accepts you. You mirror the diversity in nature. You already belong. We are one. Believe in yourself because I believe in you. Your strength gives me strength. Speak your truth. Those who reject you are not yet awake. The truth is when you rise, I rise, and we all rise as a collective. We are one people and one love, and I do believe we have the ability to love more than fear. Visible light consists of all the colors of the rainbow. I encourage you to shine bright with all your parts. You are one ray, but you are also the entire rainbow. I see you, and we need your unconditional love in this world more than ever. I started my healing journey 5 years ago so that we can all be free and live in unity. It is time that we face and release our fears around differences so that we can create a more loving and inclusive world. Remember, authentic love will not require you to sacrifice yourself. You are a brave warrior. The universe is continuously expanding and growing, and we are here to expand our hearts and minds to create a new world. I invite you to stand in pride for love. You are love, and your authenticity is welcome in my world. Thank you.
Hi. I didn't bring anything to read tonight, so I dipped into my old big box of poetry, and I pulled out some random notebooks. So I'm going to open a notebook, and I'm going to just spin the pages, and you tell me when to stop. Okay, this is like poetry from like 20 to 30 years ago, provided I can actually read it. Just gotta keep giving her. Keep on rolling, child. You're only just begun to experience the thrills and pleasures of life. Remember when you're at Marta Loop with all your clothes stuffed into a telephone booth during a July thunderstorm. Bet you never thought you'd ever get this far. How does it feel to be here? Anyways, just a word of advice, sonny boy. Just gotta keep giving her when the skies are cloudy and the future seems foggy. I got a little notebook here, and here we go again. Left or right? Jazz. Let's see what year this is from. 96. Okay, if you're familiar with Calgary, there's this cafe called the Planet Cafe, and I always used to write my poetry there. I'd have a cigarette, coffee, and I'd write. But now you're not allowed to smoke anymore, so I killed my inspiration more or less. Jazz! The notes drift through the air. Some linger, some disappear. Some remind me of someone, some remind me of no one. Whether you're with friends or you're alone, listening to jazz is fun. Yeah, skip dappity doo 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 woo. It's good for the soul, whether it be a big band or just a vocalist. You gotta transport some something about a funky riff. When all that really matters is just the music.
I remember I sent one of my poems to one of my best friends and it didn't rhyme, and he says, "You can't send me a poem that doesn't rhyme, for God's sake." And I said, "Okay, I'll write you one that does." So I wrote him a silly little, I call it Billy Goat poem. It goes like this. Once I saw a billy goat float down the river past my boat. On his back, legs in the air, we locked eyes, a vacant stare. Hey goat, cried I, you're usually dry. Hooves on the land, dirt, rock, or sand. Surprised I was to hear him say, we goats have dreams. We wander away, down streams, on lakes, and roads way too. Confined to meadows just won't do. Fish, birds, and bees that were a fuss stopped, and they did to listen to us. How could this be, these mindless beings, so in tune to what we were seeing? So put upon with all around, having a little trouble seeing here. So put upon with all around, a sight so new that I had found. I laid my head down on my boat, and with them all down the river did float. Hopefully I can see this one a little bit better. It's called My Little Girl. Sitting silent, somber, I wait for the knock on my door. A knock that will bring back the little girl I raised and lost. To a mind I do not understand, but only wish would release her. What is past is past. What is here. A new reality that I must stare down to help me to a place I can understand and live. With a new face never imagined. No gentle knocking finds my eager ear. Just a wind that wraps its arms around my house and whispers words I alone can hear. Words that do not convey hope. Words that say, your child. Words that say your child is lost. Move on, unhappy one. Accept what you cannot change. Do humble, useless jobs. Hands busy, mind numb. Mumble words that seem like prayer, and hope that someday she will be there.
Hello. It's my
my second time back reading here. Okay, this kind of wasn't a poem, but it's kind of a little message I wrote to myself and other people. Choose who you let into your life. Miserable people will try to make you miserable too. Remember that how they treat you is a reflection of how they feel about themselves. Do not let their problems become a part of you. Don't let toxic people back into your life. There will always be a piece in your heart that will grieve someone that you had so much love for, but realize that the good things you saw in them were just fragments of reflections of yourself that created this person you thought you knew. I always try to see the best in people, so I would often stand up or make excuses for their behaviors, thinking I was protecting them, but in reality, I was just enabling them and taking away from myself and who I am. You need to learn to protect yourself. So there's that. And this one, I wrote after my first time coming in reading here, when I came with River. And it's just kind of how I felt. So it's called A Little Electric Kind of Feeling. Knees, legs touching, feeling the warmth emanate off you. Wondering if you meant for your leg to touch mine, or is it just chance because of us sitting close? Feeling giddy like a little girl, feeling bubbly inside, what most people would call butterflies in your stomach. But I don't like that phrase, because when I think of that phrase, I think of all the boys and men that have brought butterflies to my stomach. But that's not right, because butterflies are beautiful and represent change and growth. But what those boys and men made me feel was anxious and uncertainty, constantly going through my head the different ways of events could unfold and how they would make me feel uneasy, and that it isn't something that is beautiful like a butterfly. But this was so very different. It was like a little electric sort of feeling when I felt your leg touch mine and I moved mine closer ever so slightly. My mind was racing and my heart felt like it would skip a beat, feeling that little electric sort of spark, warmth, energy that exudes off your being. With you, I didn't feel anxious. It was so easy to talk, and I wasn't constantly worrying about what could or might happen, because I was too busy living in that beautiful moment with you. Going out with you ignited the light in me that was once shining so bright, but has unfortunately been dimmed to a flickering, faded light. But you gave me that little electric kind of feeling that helped me feel my light shine again.
I'm going to read one poem because that's scary enough. This poem is kind of looking at the dichotomy between writing healing us, but also sometimes being a burden sometimes too. So this one is called Writing Heals. Hold on a minute. I write to heal. I write to forget. These are the words us writers tell ourselves every day. The pain we feel can be masked up by our writing, hidden from everyone, hidden from ourselves. But I'm starting to feel like it's all a lie. I write to heal this emptiness inside me, but in order to write, I have to empty myself even more. I have to uncover all of my scabs of the wounds that work so hard to get better. I have to remember the thoughts that I buried in the graveyard of my mind, only to soon be dug up all over again for what us writers like to call closure. I forgot them once before, pushing them away like an overprotective parent, but forgetting them twice, it's not as easy. I'm expected to pick up the shovel and bury the pain once again, but they don't understand I'm still recovering from the first time. Writing heals. Writing tears your heart out of your chest and laughs at you for being so vulnerable. It takes your darkest secrets and forever keeps them. You can rip up the paper all you want, but the black ink was spilled. That's all that was needed to drive you to your peak. Writing heals. I finish another page and I look at myself in the mirror, only to realize that I can no longer look at myself the same. I've kept my pain and secrets locked up, suppressed for so long that I myself heard them all for the first time. So excuse me for questioning the emotion brought out after I click the pen closed, because I do not feel any better. The pendulum of my pain swings back and forth. Writing heals. Writing makes it worse. Writing heals. Writing makes it worse. Unfortunately, that dark, heavy disc never stops in the middle. It just keeps swinging and swinging and swinging. Thank you.
Steve and I have a dog. Have you met Jenkins? He's really fun. So he had his first ice cream today. So I'm reading you my ice cream poem that has nothing to do with ice cream, but it's called Ice Cream, and I wrote this in German, so it might be a little bit funky with the translation, but I wanted to try anyway. I have never wanted a family home, a fast car, a fancy hairdo. No thanks also for being the role model girl. To the designer purse, to the bling bling, especially no to a shiny ring. I've always avoided to pick at my salad and never went for the cherries, if you must know. A sleeping pad, a towel under my head have usually always been enough. But suddenly we are camping deluxe, travel with a suitcase, fill up the car with fuel of a higher grade, are using one-way plastic bottles and yes, sometimes bags. All of a sudden, we're talking family home. All of a sudden, I miss pistachio ice cream. Thanks so much.
So the first poem I'm going to read, I wrote for someone that I love extremely dearly that was going through a real struggle, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And I would like to dedicate this today for Pride and for all the people who've ever been through a struggle to trust their inner voice and to trust themselves. Your heart is a beautiful little bird trying to find its voice in the world. The pain you are suffering is the depth that you feel of everything. The weight of the world is too much to carry. Sing, little bird. Sing your story. Sing your tears. Sing your joy. Sing for your heart and let yourself fly.